much for that very moving statement on fear. And we are at that stage this evening.
Closing.
Okay,
okay. And then we will call them. But you guys, please.
In a very fluid way. And I think that's where, as parents in the diaspora, we make the mistake. And then what happens is the children start to resent the Gambia and coming home with us. I just wanted to add that to the identity, the conversation on identity. So we live in a century of human mobility and migration. It falls to me right now, again, to close what has been an excellent discussion, interaction on emerging diaspora policy or policies, I like to say. But I wish to thank the panelists and you, the participant, for actually powering on throughout the day with us. You've been here for a very, very long time. I'm looking at my sister Patty, she's been here almost 10 hours. So thank you. So your questions, participants, your questions have been very engaging, and many of you have responded, and your questions and your contributions. And I think we are going to go back, reflect on those contributions that you've made, unpack some of the questions that you put forward, and see how best we can continue to work together and not be divisive and not create an otherness or otherizing each other, right? The diaspora versus the Gambia. The diaspora is the Gambia. The Gambia is the Gambian diaspora. So there should not be we versus us mentality. We should all work together. We've talked about disability, of course, the big elephant in the room, remittances. And of course, with all the money that's been flowing from diaspora into the Gambia, we feel like we don't have a seat at the table. And you've heard that expression. If you don't have a seat at the table, you become the meal. I don't know about you. I don't want to be anyone's meal. I want to have a seat at the table. I want to be part of an inclusive dialogue. I want to be part of making policies that impact my lives, that impact your lives, or our lives in this case. One thing I actually have not heard about throughout this interaction and deliberation is about mentorship. I'm a huge fan of mentorship. Over a decade ago, after I graduated, I came home to work. I wish someone had actually mentored me. I would have stayed. But because I didn't have that mentorship, I felt disconnected. So I packed up and I went back to the country that welcomed me. Because I felt disengaged from my own home country. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm still not connected. I have an emotional connection to this country that we all call the Gambia. So I think it's really important that the diaspora also plays their own role in mentoring the next generation of civil servants here in this room. So mentorship is key. And Professor Powell, I think we should put that on the agenda, right? And I know there are many of you here who already have a wealth of experience that you can share with every one of us. And this will actually go to help build and strengthen institutions. So I want to ask randomly, what have you learned today? Just one thing that you can take. I'm not going to call on you because you're part of this. People are hiding already. Just one thing that you are going to leave with this, that you think actually made you grow as you process everything that you've heard. What is the one takeaway that you have from this? I'm going to start calling the police band if no one says anything. Where's the UTG people? I will call on the UTG students. Yes, sir. What about it? I'm a teacher, so you tell me that I have to add up. Like, what about it? You have to expect.
The amount of funds the diaspora has been funding in national development.
What about it?
That they have a lot of plans and that they have faced some challenges.
Okay.
The representative of the Swiss government made some key challenges that diaspora has been facing. One of which is that the challenges are awareness of the diaspora strategy and also how to increase the diaspora involvement in political and socio-economic development. Those are the two challenges that we have.
Right. Very good. Thank you. I saw someone right here. I know I'm not going to take a lot of your time, so I just want to. The guy in the yes, you.
I've learned that developing a country requires a multidimensional approach. It requires those funding and those aspects.
Absolutely.
When they work in unison, they become productive.
So we need a unified approach towards development. Every one of us have to be involved. Yes, ma'am.
I think Gambia is not poor. And there's a seed of very enthusiastic personnel out there willing to come back and serve their country.
Absolutely. Thank you. So what does that tell us? You've learned a lot, basically. That's what this is telling me. So as I said, I really don't want to take a lot of your time, but I really want to thank you. And I think as we continue to engage with the diaspora, we will strengthen not only are we going to strengthen our institutions, but I think service delivery is going to be better. It's going to be a more efficient, economical, effective, but also more equitable delivery of service. And this is where I leave you. Thank you so very much for the invitation. And Professor Powell, thank you as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Professor. And I'm not as fluent as Axie is. I went to night school and we use candles in class. All right. Before Omar and the lady comes up to do their performance, I would like to use this opportunity really to thank everybody. On behalf of the MSDG project and staff of GK Partners, I would like to extend my profound thanks and gratitude to all stakeholders and partners, most so the Office of the President, the entire civil service through the Office of the Secretary General, state-owned enterprises, who are forcefully represented here today. Civil society, UTG, administration, students, and all other organizations that I have not mentioned or I forgot to mention. Thank you to the speakers and participants who made today a successful day, a successful SNF 5. Please remember to scan the QR codes here. There is a job opening that we are advertising for the technical director role, and the deadline is on the 12th. So kindly take a look at the job pack, and you can find it by scanning the QR codes here. We look forward to seeing you all in 2023. By the way, before we finally close and tell you where tea is served, I would now like to call on the performers as introduced by James. Come on. Thank you. You can come on.
Looking around me, I see a nation left with scars that are still open. Scars hiding behind smiles of its people with hearts that are still broken. I see streets that were once filled with love, joy, and humanity, now torn apart by hatred, rape, murder, and non-existent unity. See, it's crazy how fast we've changed. Like a banner. I'm on the time I would wonder to Jama, who feel you welcome with open arms to Tarala. What to unjust, all of the Tagala chef, Jola, Binyankatan, Allah you also add on Chasa, Nimala, Alman Koji, Vedaran, and Alakankura. See, where have those days gone? Those days when we had, those days when Jolas and sailors cracked jokes of Sanoya, those days when we had love for one another and Tolia. When Maninka parents would give their kids a dalasi and would tell them, see, gone are those days of harmony and hadamoya, gone are those days when we were our brother's keeper, those days when as if they passed by, our love for each other grew deeper. Maybe in our hearts, the seed of tribalism is nurtured and grown. Basic and unitable peace and love is all that we've ever known. Can Bukuta just somewhere and we're all disgusted at the sight of other tribes? Well, at least that is what our actions have shown. But just keep in mind what happened in Rwanda. Our mothers were battered, left with scars so deep and painful memories to keep. Our innocent little girls were openly raped by men with no shame who took turns one after the other, only to do the same. Our fathers were have you forgotten about what happened in Somalia? Our fathers were chopped off and butchered to death, leaving behind innocent little children who were abandoned to starve until they took their last breath. Is that what we want for the Gambia? I doubt. See, deep in our hearts, there's still love for each other. We've just gotta let it grow. Let's unite and bring back the peace and love we all used to know. For our nation, the Gambia, still has a very long way to go. So I was going to do one piece, but Uncle Jega actually requested for a piece that is his favorite. I've not done that piece in such a long while since 2017, but here it goes, especially for Uncle Jega. Following the memory lane to history, the story behind the freedom of this country is victory. See, people say that this is the same country that body pain had children suffered in vain with their hands and legs bound by the chains that enslaved them. Fought her way through the dark era of colonialism, held on farm and hoped for better days during those hard trying times when she was ruled by a dictator. A man who took over her, terrorized her children and left them in pieces from which they're still trying to recover. See, people say that Gambia is a place with an amazing culture, a nation so peaceful, so nice with a beautiful structure, that it is home of legends with great legacies, home of icons who are praised with the struggles of whom the red, white, blue, white, and green flag was raised. A nation known for its peace, love, and unity, inhabited by peaceful people, blessed with beautiful smiles of humanity. See, I am not denying of any of that, but listen, Gambia is not everything people say it is. Do you know? Do you know that in the Gambia, corruption resides in the hearts of our leaders? Do you know that in the Gambia, corruption resides in the hearts of our leaders? A place where politicians have plastic smiles fixed on their fake faces, others with words and trick people into believing they're nation builders. Instead, they're actors and two-faced cheaters. See, majority of the young people in the Gambia are currently either underpaid or unemployed, even though they have the degrees and all other required papers, which is why a lot of Gambians disembark on the risky journey of irregular migration, a journey that costs most of them their lives as they drown into that deep, dream-crushing ocean. But see, instead of figuring out solutions to these problems, everybody is busy pointing fingers. The young people blaming the government for not giving them the needed opportunities, for not giving them a chance to prove their capabilities. And the government blaming the young people for their absolute lack of diligence. Chigambia Bingai used Kujanga by high school and all of a sudden drops out because he can no longer cope with the school system, which he believes is too tough. Mutok kir, weluchi ay wajuram wala mudoki kampembeda. Morami goram bukoram monako pro nakala. Panima fanjidi atayo wai. And when he's tired of this, he turns to the streets and earns himself a certificate in drug theft and drug abuse. So Parianan, Dikabinehut, Halis Amut, Chona Biyaga, and Billy the Jehut, Manda Jisatumatara with them back way. So in this country, everybody dreams to live in luxury, but instead we dwell in never-ending poverty. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. It's because in the Gambia, people do not oppose each other with ideas or innovation. In this country, people compete each other with jujus and witchcraft. Someone with bad intentions. So do not be surprised that there's still no development in our nation. See, we are blessed with beautiful black skins, but we have hatred and jealousy in the blood flowing through our deepest veins. And just for power, people in this country can commit the darkest of sins. Chigambia Bingayis could advance to Anye Wala Surere, even though more than half of our population practices agriculture. So in this country, a man can rape an innocent girl, take away her pride in the silence of the night and get away with it because we're so blinded by our culture. We don't even support our own. Finger is a promoter who's willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a foreign artist, but is never willing to do the same for his own. So Gambian artists we also show. The number of people in the father you can actually count and know. Where Cheta is performing artists being with. Kuneka diligently hires for clothes and tickets, all of that just for show. I mean, I know the Gambian music industry has some work artists. Who only release crappy songs. Some who are too busy hating and beating on each other, which is totally all wrong. But there are actually a few good ones who are hardworking and have proven to be strong. So why can't we appreciate and support our own? They because they can be New Gambia. Well, I'll tell you something. There is no New Gambia. There is just a new government ruling over the old same corrupt system. A system under which we are all victims. In this so-called New Gambia, everybody writes and says what they want and calls it democracy, and rightly so. Well, I don't know if it's just me or if everyone else is actually democracy. To the new government, we know y'all want to make our nation rise, turn into a country that will take all by surprise, but see, even development comes with a price. We voted for change once, who says we can twice. Thank you.
Thank you. That was lit. Anga si padam fanso fay koma nima bankana da. Anga fidambala ay senaya na banko sita nyafo yurwa sesia. Nka jele nyoma kafeya kasi kakacha dulawo dula setia. Kati ye longwola la Gambia. Konso don sarabu karsa solema direct mani. Duma halke nyow nan ma acca sibiti. Kon nelen fexe ñu génne fi li bu fi abati. Sori loko bu fi jegati xif loko bu fi lekati mar loko bu fi nanati su bëgge takka ñu dagati. Ñu taccio di feccati begati kafati rayati sin dekka Gambia neex. Kon dama jël laka yo boole ngi jël xoli fi. Jola bi top ne ma ay ñaam ba caara bu réer. Ma jox ko ay tàmbale mu dóor mu ne ma invité kati bol bi topp ne ma jonnam pizza mi fala kala. So special greetings to the other members of the high table, to those in the middle table, and even those in that table. I'm so honored to be here, especially to do a performance that is going to close this very important discussion. And I hope the words of Lala and myself would continue to live with you as you leave this very inspirational session. So it's two performances. I pray that you're able to, be able to be patient enough. I'm sure you'll be able to pursue it with more of enjoyment and patience. So the first piece is basically a piece that we are in fact demanded to do, like it's a must. And it has to do with our relationship as Gambians in here, Gambians in diaspora, and how much we're supposed to honor our culture. And it reads, but I want to perform this together with you. And what that means is if I say, so no matter where we have been or for how long, I want you to say, the Gambia is where we will forever belong. Could you do that for me? Yes. All right, let's test ourselves. So no matter where we have been or for how long, Is this the energy that you don't understand? What? Anthony. Like it has to come hard, like with energy. You know, Pastor, if you like the energy, don't even act properly, just bring the energy. Let's test it again. Now, what is the Gambia is where we forever belong? Huh? Okay. So no matter where we have been or for how long. Yes, that's what I want. All right, we go. Video you salaire len ngir metti ti ñaka deggo. Def gi wéna ngir fitna ñaka gismo. Dégg ci biir réew mi wala doon bitim réew warta wara yak sin benno. Sin japo, sin bolo, sin yego, then let's connect synergistically with never benno lens should be our motto. So no matter where we have been or for how long. The silent cries are huge from our disconnection, from the misguiding bullets hitting our unity, the most horrible category of our infection. A devil we must butcher, a fabric we must tear, a stain we must clear to avoid any tension, suspicion, or accusation that the diaspora are this, the diaspora are that. That the diaspora didn't do this, the diaspora didn't do that. The diaspora didn't do this, the diaspora didn't do that. But even if the diaspora didn't do this or didn't do that or didn't do that and this or this and that, we equally share this and that or this and this. So we are one root, one stem, spread in leaves. So one reason we should connect synergistically because we need to benefit to be our motto. So no matter where we've been or for how long. Kon. Dëkk bitim réew war laa tàggale comme ak sa dëkk ndax ñoo bokk benn gaño banku doko karawanin ila dimbaya la fo ya bongole sambale to kane ko di ila bako di nyala ila ahado ni chosano kana song bunya ni di yage tinki tanka dula min buko su buka sodo do dula do. Then let's connect synergistically because we need to benefit should be our motto. For nowhere, no matter where we've been or for how long. Our accent might have been twisted for the longevity of our stay. Our communication might be buried in the things we say, but Even if you spend our whole life in America or Britain, in Norway or Sweden, or if you know more correctly pronounced words of tapawapper, the brook sauce, or one thing that can never change is that we are Gambians and we'll be Gambians forever. So no matter where we have been or for how long. So connect with your culture and tradition. Don't let it fade away from your family. Not being grounded in those means we can strengthen the synergy. The synergy not being strengthened means we have fumbled our identity. Our identity being fumbled means we cannot develop this country. And the country not being developed means we can live comfortably or progressively. Konfonkal for fahet for aksa chosan, leka chosan, nan chosan, tegat chosan, walk chosan, fugu dagu bil chosan. Because no matter where we have been or for how long. So three governments, stakeholders, and the Gambians in the Gambia. We must look and treat our brothers as our brothers and our sisters as our sisters. So throw away the lenses of being migrants or being semesters or them being foreigners or negative influencers. Let's reflect on their contributions to the society, to the country, to the economy, to the politics, to the social change, to the projects, to the companies, to the families, and everything progressive. So we must not encourage any boundaries in our realm. We are under one umbrella. We are birds of the same together, and we must flock together. But that's in our we don't begin. Because we must remind each other that no matter where we have been or for how long. Thank you very much. And the last piece I'm going to perform is called Feminine Crime. It's basically an encapsulation of the value of women and how much change you can bring in. That's why I'm so glad to see Auntie Janet on the high table. She's been a legend as far as our art is concerned. You cannot talk about Gambian literature without her. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in saying a big congratulations. And before my last performance, I wanted to ask if anyone of you here is aware of what is going to happen on the 12th of March. Yes. What is it? Say it before the win. I'm glad you all know. So I'm launching my first poetry album before the win on the 12th of March at the Benjamin Hall. Please, I need your support, all of you, including those in the diaspora. Even if you are to return, you can still come. You know how Yes. So the poem reads, I've been given a lot to live for, little to smile for, and much more to die for. But among all this reside the pain of women in hidden throats, and sadness to cry for. The world's most precious gift placed in the coffins of society's servants, built in stereotypes, abuse, and exploitation to the highest degree. Their walls die tightly, they can't fly free. Their bones cross wrongly, blood enough to see, but I've come with a revelation to save a generation. So listen to me attentively. For the dawn of the night has finally arrived to break the barriers barring the progress of our women, to the power of women, of consciousness, of wrong constructions we want to vandalize, the abusers of rights we penalize, the hidden criminals we televise on screens of shame and globalize the movement to protect our women. We must see without worry and empathy without pity. I've been worried for decades of how to love you and what I should love in you. And if I do not get the love in return, what I should then do? If I should fancy the pretty face or the beautiful body, the power of motherhood and the care you kept me, the way you raise my kids and how that makes me happy, the coldness of my bed or how I strip off your bikini, the skills in cooking in the kitchen or the miscollaborability, but believe me, that is why we got it all wrong. For I should not love you for any of this. I should love you simply because you are a woman. For I am aware of your tears flowing faster than the Amazon fire. I'm aware of your sorrow more worrying than the xenophobia, of how you've been torn into a reservoir of rape and sexual slave, a victim of gender-based violence, domestic violence, early marriage, discrimination, and they want to shut you up anytime you want to give a narration. But I'm saying, woman, speak up and speak aloud. Convey the pain and let them out. You're not a slave of anyone, not men, not women, not those that believe, not those that doubt. But let them bring their cross on you. You're not responsible for their emotional drive. You're bold and you're strong. If you're the victim, you're not wrong. You're beautiful and pretty, and I'm going to be this for quite so long, then place you in the highest rank of heaven. Because this is why you belong. Because if you are a woman, you're naturally a conqueror and a quencher of anger. If you are a woman, you are a indefatigable soul of peace and a bringer of happiness. If you are a woman, you are a gamer of souls, a heart polisher and a mind furnisher. If you are a woman, you are the custodians of our dreams and the securers of our future. If you are a woman, you are the early morning moon and the sparkles of the sun. You are the brightest being that could ever visit the face of the earth. Beautiful and pretty externally and externally. The drivers of success where no means exist. That is why today we have come to remind you that we are not rivals, but partners in development. Remind you of your uniqueness, of your beauty, and of your value. Also remind you that you are the seeds that bear the sweetest of fruits to life. Thank you.
What to present on top of that. I'll leave it to you. Thank you.
Today's event here. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
And those from the provinces and Brikama and Florida, please kindly see the officers and ask for Mr. Wilson. Thank you so much.